is 2000. A milestone moment for a Pittsburgh icon.
Malkin dusts it off. Right in front of the chance, backhand score! It's Brian Rust with the goal! Rarefied air and a Hall of Fame career, 1,200 points for Evgeny Malkin.
2nd and 9. Pickett lines up a deep ball. Separation! Touchdown! George Pickens!
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio. Right here at 5100 West Library Avenue, the municipal building. We're downstairs, library and offices are above. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 21, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way from Nemacolin, Cranberry, Wexford, and the greater Pittsburgh area. We appreciate all of you. Thanks, Nick, for tuning me in here. I appreciate it. Thanks all of you for watching us on Facebook. Checked our number. We're at 7,520. I think we dropped 2 in the last week or 2. Wow. So my daughter said not to repeat it, but there's haters out there, Dad. And some like you and then some don't. So we'll keep going. We made it from 0 to 75.52, so we're good. Ann Harder's watching. Thanks for tuning in. And we got a lot of great things to do on YouTube. We're at 334, Nick. That's
338.
338. I checked that yesterday. Some people are. I'll check again. We need a couple more. We're trying to get to 1K. No, we appreciate the interactions and everything on Facebook, and we're not so sharp on YouTube, but we got all our award-winning shows and many extras on there, so check that out. And we appreciate you. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Smokin' Jim Frazier. Chip mixed it up with Michael Ragin' Rhodey, so he's back again with us 2 in a row. We got Nick Callis here. He got us all going, and we have a Pittsburgh Sportsline first. We're ready a minute and 38 seconds early. I know it's a shocker, and I appreciate all of you.
Wait, and even a bigger shocker, Smokin' Jim showed up 40 minutes early.
Well, we gotta tell the truth.
I have witnesses.
We usually beat up Smokin' Jim because he makes it easy. He's wearing Coliseum Combat Zone, looking good, and then I don't know what hat he's wearing there, but it's red and black. Rosie Weaver, a friend of mine on Facebook, is watching. Thanks for tuning in. And Smokin' Jim came early because he told me he was leaving at 7. Then he corrected it. He's leaving at 8 to pick up his son, who he has a nickname, Hammer. So we don't know what he does, but he's in construction, and he's going out to Murraysville. And he lives about 45 minutes away, so poor Hammer will be waiting from 7 o'clock. Now let's go see our promos. That's the entertainment segment of Smokin' Jim Frazier. 10-second promos.
I'm Nicholas Callis, and this is the Bethel Park Minute. Construction on the sidewalks in front of the municipal building will continue through this week. Currently, the library and municipal offices are only accessible from the back entrance. No Cook Tuesdays return this week to the Bethel Park Community Center from 4 to 7 p.m. October 1st will feature Cilantro e Ajo, Tambellini's, Community Kitchen Pittsburgh, and Wild River Kettle Corn. Bethel Park's Halloween activities kick off this week with the Fine Salty Junior contest. Watch the short video produced by BPTV to find out more, and tune into the Bethel Park Minute live at 4 p.m. every Monday in October for the live random selection of the winner. Bethel Park Community Center is hosting a magic show brunch on Saturday, October 12th from 11 to 1. This event features Weird Eric and his party animals. Tickets are $20 per person. You can register through Bethel Park Recreation. My name is Nicholas Callis, and this has been the Bethel Park Minute.
Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Strikers. I worked there for 36 years. My former union, CWA, PPMWS 14842, Pittsburgh Local Mailers Union number 22, is on strike. Even though health care benefits were secured for workers by the union, Post-Gazette management cut them out without the union's approval and still expected workers to show up without any coverage. Please cancel your Post-Gazette subscriptions online or in print. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Union strikers. Frank Fanera, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria and the Hillcrest Shopping Center on Route 88. Call them at 412-831-1900. Every Tuesday night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria provides the host and the amazing volunteer crew with an XL pepperoni pizza and a full steak hoagie. They are delicious. Olive Oils is proud to support Pittsburgh Sportsline and the volunteers at BPTV. Stay Joey strong. Joey Fabus died at 8 years old of brain cancer known as DIPG. Since then, the family has come together with community members to create the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Since being founded, they've raised over $100,000. Go to jfccf.org to learn more about DIPG, to help spread awareness, and to see how else you can support and donate towards the fight against this dreaded brain cancer. Always Be Smiling, a 501c3 designed to help children and families in need of kidney transplants. The B stands for Bennett, whose memory is embedded in this organization by his parents, Kristen and Dean. Despite the challenges he faced in his 16 and a half years of life, Bennett always had a smile on his face and spread kindness to everyone he could. Now, Always Be Smiling wants to pass on that kindness. Go to alwaysbesmiling.org to learn more and see how you can support or donate to this organization. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. I'm Al Levine, trustee on the board of this great organization. The BPCF focuses on raising money to provide scholarships, grants, endowments, and more. Grant requests are available online from $100 to $5,000. You can also attend fundraisers or donate. Go to bpcf.org to get more information and to stay up to date on upcoming events. The Bethel Park Community Foundation, focusing community resources, building for the future. The Bethel Park Historical Society is a 501c3 that serves Bethel Park. The Historical Society operates out of the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, located at 2600 South Park Road. Look for the red and white trolley right out front. Reginald's Coffee is inside, and I've heard it's the best coffee around. To visit this great historical venue, email historicalsocietybp@gmail.com. Hey, thanks for watching our promos. I slipped a new one in. I'm actually producing my first concert November 2nd out at Shrine Center in Cheswick. It's easy, right off of 28.
I know where it's at.
You're all welcome to come out there. I got a video with Jessica Lee by request. You have to check that out. It tells our story. And it's November 2nd, 6 o'clock. The doors open, 6:30 to 9:30. The theme is Wisdom of the Blues. So you're all welcome. Get your tickets. We got links to it. So my first time, it costs money, Chip.
I was going to say, so Freebird isn't on the playlist?
No.
Okay.
No. Although a lot of the rock and roll started with the blues and jazz.
Yes, I do know that.
I know.
I do know that.
All right, enough of that out. That was a little self-promotion, but check it out. What's on your mind, Smokin' Jim Frazier?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, You got to see Levine. I tell you what, man, I'm going to Permanis Brothers for the vice presidential debate. Hey, I want me some sandwiches with some fries on it.
Disclaimer right now. We don't like to talk politics because I remember when the Democrats and Republicans could get along, and now there's just hate out there. So to all you haters, I mean it. We're not talking politics. Smoking Jim doesn't know baseball. He doesn't vote because he doesn't use his government name. He doesn't vote, never has. So anything political doesn't reflect me, our show, Bethel Park, and BPTV. Zip it, let's go.
Hey, I know you guys don't believe in the curse.
We don't believe in any curse.
But how can you explain Christian McCaffrey's cover of Madden and he's out for the year? El Levine, the curse is alive and well. El Levine, the talking machine.
Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady were on the cover too, and they both won Super Bowls the years they were on.
The best ability is availability.
He has
in
no
this
answer.
Time, almost everybody on your show, most people on other shows are saying if the Steelers are to extend Dan Moore, I was ahead of the curve.
Who said that?
Disclaimer again. Can you tell us one person besides you who says they're going to the Super Bowl that said Dan Moore should get re-signed? Nobody I've heard. He's one of the worst-rated tackles in the NFL.
No, ain't he?
Well, this year.
Yeah, this year. Well, that's all counts.
Well, that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
What he did last year doesn't matter at all.
I understand.
Pete Rose died of a broken heart. Listen, El Levine, the talking machine. Pete Rose, in my opinion, is the greatest baseball player to ever live. He died. He never cheated the game. When he hit for over 400 hits, El Levine, the talking machine,
4,000.
he didn't cheat the game when his Charlie Hustle head-on slides. El Levine, the talking machine. He didn't cheat the game when he was voted to 17 All-Stars. El Levine, the talking machine. You guys are stubborn. He didn't cheat the game when he won League MVP, World Series MVP, Rookie of the Year. Pete Rose should team up now with Shoeless Joe Jackson and continue to haunt the the baseball league until Pete Rose, Joe Jackson, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame. El Levine, the talking machine. And listen, in 1950, baseball was the #1 sport in the world. El Levine, the talking machine, Shoeless Joe Jackson died in 51, and he's been haunting the baseball ever since, and Pete Rose will team up with him now.
What do they call it, the NBL, the National Baseball League?
I don't know what it is. Mediocre league.
Smoking Jim, thanks for your non-baseball comments. We appreciate
The
that.
man is dead now, Chip. Give him a break. You stubborn guy.
Here's the break.
I will retort during my segment.
Hey, Mike Brody got a comment. Was Patrick Queen on the Madden cover? We might have got Alvin Harper. Jim will explain what that is. Mario Tempest, hello. Thanks for tuning in. I hate to say don't listen to anything Smoking Jim says, but I already clarified it about baseball. He never knew baseball or hockey till he joined Pittsburgh Sportsline.
That's true.
We're going to go to What's on Your Mind, Chip Hayner, and I can't wait with you following Smoking Jim. This will be one of your best ever What's on Your Mind because he served it up really big.
He served it up, but I'm not going to talk about that first. First, I want to talk about Pittsburgh Steelers. See, I'm wearing my colors tonight, and you know I hear criticism and blame being pointed at the coaching staff for the Steelers' performance on Sunday. Well, here's what the simple facts of the matter are. The Pittsburgh Steelers were not the most physical team on the field on Sunday. They got beaten on the offensive line. They got beaten on the defensive line.
What defensive line?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You know, I can give the offensive line a little bit of a pass because other than the All-Pro Dan Moore at left tackle. Okay.
That table
Other than the All-Pro Dan Moore, there were four men starting on the offensive line that had a combined 20 games of NFL experience.
That's crazy.
And to see them not provide protection for the quarterback, not surprising that happened. my thoughts are they can only get better.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Ooh, I don't know.
Sayamala will work his way back into the lineup this week. And they're playing a weak Dallas defensive front this coming week.
Yeah.
And they're playing at home. So I foresee good things. But let's get to the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Smoking. He's a 6X. Look at that shirt on.
You know, my thoughts and my prayers go out to the members of Pete Rose's family and the people that loved him.
Be nice.
I have
and his girlfriends that were young.
my
at the
disdain
time.
for Pete Rose is well documented over the last 13 years.
Yes, sir.
But I am not going to disparage him to speak this evening, one day after he passed.
Thank you.
But I will state my opinion on what I think about Pete Rose's legacy. And under no circumstances should Pete Rose ever be allowed into the Hall of Fame, simply because, well, if you believe that the games that are played are judged by rules, there are rules in games and they have to be abided by.
He doesn't believe that.
The rule in the game that Pete Rose broke, I will paraphrase this. It is Rule 21, Paragraph D. And in Rule 21, Paragraph D, which is in every clubhouse from the instructional league all the way to the major leagues, it said that any person that has a duty to perform in a game and bets on baseball shall be deemed permanently ineligible. I think that's pretty black and white.
He did it as a coach, not a player.
Any person that has a duty to perform, that would be a coach or a player, okay? And clearly, he bet on baseball, and it's well documented that he bet on baseball. And on top of that, because of his arrogance, he dared Major League Baseball and Bart Giamatti to ban him. So they banned him. He agreed to a lifetime ban. Now, a lot of people are clowning today saying, well, if it was a lifetime ban, he died yesterday, so the ban's lifted. But here's what my thing is.
Then it should apply for shoeless.
I wouldn't call that a clowning
no,
argument. That's the definition of lifetime.
Well,
It is perfect.
but Shoeless Joe Jackson had a lifetime ban from baseball because of the 1919 Black Sox scandal. And it's been 105 years since Joe Jackson left the game, and Joe Jackson deservedly belongs in the Hall of Fame because he was not a very educated man,
Illiterate.
and he was duped into becoming part of the Black Sox scandal. So it has been 105 years that Joe Jackson has been banned from the Hall of Fame, or banned from baseball.
I know where you're going.
So I would think it would only be appropriate that Pete Rose
I knew
serve
he'd go there.
the same amount of time because a precedent has been set.
Enjoy the decline of baseball because Pete Rose and Joe Jackson.
Well, you know what?
is
Let me
teaming
tell you
up.
something. Baseball's popularity has gone up
No,
since
no.
he got banned in 1989.
No, it was
Thank you
number
very
one sport
much.
in
You
1950.
can't say that.
He
You're
just
making
did.
arguments for the baseball's decline because guys aren't batting 300 anymore.
You know what? That's a different argument for another day.
No, it's not. We're talking about
Because I'm
popularity.
talking about Pete
Hold
Rose.
it, hold it.
I'm
Let
talking
Chip
about
finish.
Pete Rose,
Let him
not about the
finish.
state of the game of baseball.
Yeah.
So when players get banned and famous people get banned and shunned, that makes the sport more popular?
No, that means that
Oh, okay.
the rules are in place and they apply to everybody.
Oh.
If you're going to have rules and they don't apply to everybody, then what's the sense in having any rules?
Ding, ding. We're done with that.
Pete
Thank
Rose
you,
and
Chip.
Shoeless Joe, don't come after me. Just stay after baseball.
I mean, the only sport that I know that condones cheating is the National Football League. You think about this. No, think about this.
Good point.
The greatest coach in the history of football, lately, Bill Belichick, has sanctioned 3 times and fined, and the organization was fined 3 times for cheating, yet he was able to keep his job. Pete Carroll cheated in college, and to avoid penalties in college, he went to the NFL.
To cheat.
Jim Harbaugh cheated at Michigan, got sanctioned last year, and
Suspended.
to avoid further punishment, what'd he do? He ran to the NFL. They welcome cheaters.
And Kraft was cheating in Florida, and he's okay.
He paid his way out of it. Smoking Jim.
Boy, that might have been the most clever thing you've ever
you
said.
know what? See,
You know what?
you're treading on ice. It's a little too thin for me
tough.
to tread on.
That's tough.
Well, with 6X, he fell through the ice.
Oh,
That shirt will
I
tell
don't
you.
know.
Hey, Linda, look at the collar on his shirt. See if the tag
Let me just say
is
one thing.
6X
Jim can't swim. He didn't crack through any ice.
on his T-shirt.
But anyhow, you know, I know there's a lot of people that are talking about how wonderful.
Yes.
Pete Rose, in my humble opinion, is probably one of the most selfish baseball players I've ever seen in the 60 plus years that I've been watching the game. Everything that happened to Pete Rose, he brought it on himself, and he got what he deserved, and that's just the way I look at it.
Did he hustle on every play?
All right, hey, Mario Tempest
I don't
said.
know. Ask his bookie.
Mario Tempest said, I agree with Chip on Rose. Ralph Williams is watching. Hello, guys. Thank you for the birthday wishes. You're welcome, Ralph. Mike Rohde brought about being Alvin Harpered. What does that mean? Smoking.
He was a good wide receiver for the Cowboys. I don't know what happened.
All right, Mike, you'll have to answer that for us. Smoking Jim didn't know. And again, when it comes to baseball, I hate to be repetitive. He doesn't really know, and he's a great entertainer because he had us all laughing. And to verify that he is a 6X, we're not going to put Linda on the air till she has her own show, but she admitted he's 6X. So I rest my case. Nick Callis, after all of this entertainment, what's on your mind?
so a few things now.
Now,
Bethel Park is undefeated still in football.
Blackhawks.
How about the band? They undefeated
That's
too?
why they're undefeated, because of the band.
Yes.
Baldwin High School hasn't
And the
scored in
band,
September.
the band hoagies. Wait, the turkey band hoagies. I bought 4 of them, 2 from Michael and 2 from Marco.
Here's actually,
Delicious.
I'm gonna hit you with logic here for a second.
Okay.
Facts. Do you know what a band festival is?
No.
You know bands actually compete against each other at like the different schools throughout the year?
And they hold it here.
Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
You know, Bethel Park's having one this weekend.
I didn't know.
I just found out today, and I think I'm going to go. So there you go.
Great.
Friends of mine came from Shaler and other schools that compete here, and they got beat.
Right, so that's pretty cool. So they actually do compete. So your sarcastic question is met with a real answer. Yes.
Thank you, Nick.
There you
Are
go.
they going to play Freebird?
Still no.
KO actually, when I was going through school, the band did play Freebird, and they had a guy playing a guitar. It was really cool. Anyway, I get it.
Were you on drums?
All right.
No, I wasn't in the marching band. I was just I was in a couple other bands. Anyhow, the Pirates finished with a 76-86 record, which means that they finished with the same record that they did in 2023, which means that they didn't get better in terms of their record from season to season, and yet this team this season felt like it was better. And so what do? We get rid of the hitting coach and the bullpen coach because those were problems, right? Big problems there. So, just firing the hitting coach and the bullpen coach, that's going to solve everything. I'm actually glad Andy Haynes is gone, so that's good. At least Ben Cherington seems to be reasonable enough to know when there's an issue in the coaching staff and to cut him off after the season. So we'll see. I'm sure they're scouring the universe for...
Hold it. Who's down in the minor leagues we could bring up?
Joe Stark actually said that in the afternoon,
Yeah.
so I thought it was the most hilarious comment. He's like, I'm sure the Pirates are scouring the universe for the best bullpen coach they can find on earth.
I'll make
Because
Smoking.
that's the...
I'll make Smoking Jim $1 bet. They hire somebody from the minor leagues.
So I thought that was funny, but yeah, I mean, what are we doing? What are we waiting for here? What's going on? I think it's been enough time. I would like to see the manager gone as well. I really don't think that's going to happen. I think they're gonna try again for another year. I can't see with Skeens coming up and with Jared Jones developing the way that he did, and with the team playing, I'll call it consistent for a little while there, and just kind of staying right outside of a wild card spot for most of the season until they went on some losing streaks in August. I feel like the team was better than it was in 2023, but the record doesn't lie. They're the same. They finished the same, and this season I would argue is worse because you had all that talent and you were set up better this season. Like, they were in playoff position like through July. And that's something that didn't happen in 2023. And I'd actually argue that it's a worse season because they were in it and they were there and they couldn't sustain winning even after the trade deadline. And I would argue that they didn't get enough help to get this team through. And, of course, I feel about Derek Shelton and some of the decisions he's made. I think that, some of his decision-making made it feel like this wasn't a winning effort attempt. It was more of just, okay, we're going to throw guys out there because, it's what we do. We just throw guys out there. We're getting guys reps. So I'm disappointed, and that's tough. The Steelers lost too, so that's fun. Doesn't feel like too many people are angry about this loss, like you'd think, because you saw some inspiring play from the offense and they finally opened up. You can't fall down 17-0 in a game and think it's going to be an easy comeback. But the fact that they were almost there was nice to see. The officiating, I don't like to blame the officiating. I'm not going to say it's the reason they lost, but there are a couple calls in there that were tough. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with, I'm good with it. I think we can just move on, turn the page, and I guess Russell Wilson's close to coming back. Mike Tomlin's being really ambiguous on that front too, so who knows what's going to happen.
They showed him moving around in practice.
That's what I'm saying. He's moving.
First time we've seen it.
He's moving.
He was moving.
Tomlin's still leaving that ambiguous, and Russell Wilson's still one on the depth chart, even though he's injured. He's not playing, obviously. So I kind of, if they would have won, I'd have said keep Fields the whole time, but they didn't win. Although it wasn't Fields' fault, so I actually have no idea what I think they should do at quarterback. Tomlin seems like he favors Russell Wilson a little bit. I think just from the veteran experience, and at least just wants to see what he has to offer at some point this season. And so, maybe against Dallas, if he's healthy enough, they'll do that primetime game, whatever that may be. I think that they're far enough along in the season that Fields should stay in just to not disrupt the rhythm. But again, the Steelers have been doing a lot of weird and unprecedented things. So maybe this is just another one of those.
For 2 years now, they've been doing strange stuff.
Nah, but this offseason was this one was a different one.
It was more so than the first.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe they're gonna do something different in play style and in quarterback selection as well that they haven't done before. And so I'm just sitting back and I'm watching, and I'm gonna watch with anticipation and excitement because they're 3-1. And they have options at quarterback. They're running out of options at receiver and O-line. They're running out of depth there. But it just makes it all the more exciting. So I guess we'll just see what happens. Not frustrated after the loss, though, I can say that. And that's something that I haven't said in a while either. I'm not frustrated after this loss.
This is rare.
It's been a few years.
You've had a lot of frustration.
That's right. So that's what's on my mind.
Baseball and football.
Is this a real question?
Yeah, Nicholas Harry Callis.
Red Pirate Hat guy asking a real question.
The
Yes.
VIP of BPTV. Would you consider trading Russell Wilson to Miami Dolphins?
Absolutely not.
I would.
He asked me. Hey. He asked me. Hold on. We're having a conversation here.
He's on that side of the table, though, so you know how to.
I would,
Yes.
but the Dolphins, I don't think are in a position anymore. They're 1-3. Like, what are they?
But they
Tyreek Hill's checking out. Tua's,
If you don't get, you got some disgruntled players. If you don't get a quarterback in there,
I think they're already disgruntled. That's my point. Like, you're not. I don't think the Dolphins would trade for him. Is my point. I would trade him for value. Picks. I don't think the Dolphins are going to trade for him at this point.
Let me tell you something. The way the Steelers' offensive line is, and the kind of game that Justin Fields plays, he's going to be hurt before very long. And you need a quality veteran backup to win games now.
Well, that shows your faith in Kyle Allen. Come on.
Well, who's Kyle Allen?
Who plays quarterback for the Steelers?
Kyle Allen, no Allen. I mean, come on.
You can just call me Allen.
I wouldn't count on Kyle Allen to win any game for me.
Would you have counted on Brock Purdy a couple years ago? That's how he got his chance. Hey.
Yeah, but he's not Brock Purdy.
How do you know?
Well, how do you know?
We don't. That's my point.
That's your point.
So Russell Wilson's disposable. I'll see what
He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback that has played and performed at a very high level in the NFL. If you want to win this year, because quote unquote, the Steelers have to make the playoffs this year, and they have to win a playoff game, or people are going to scream and cry and demand that Mike Tomlin be fired. Right?
All right, we got peace right now. Thank you, Nick. We're going to go to On Location in 10 seconds.
Wait. No.
Or no, sorry.
your mind?
What's on my mind? I forgot what's on my mind because I got 4 different things with all the interaction. All right. What's on my mind?
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. Hey, how about this? Caitlin Clark's out of the playoffs. Guess what? People aren't watching the WNBA. They listen to Al Levine, the talking machine, ride the wave. So they're showing why they watch the WNBA.
Nobody got out of the playoffs quicker, huh?
Smoking Jim, always a negative comment. How's Gateway doing this year? Sorry, I was waiting for that, but he walked into it. Michael Rohde came back. Here's his answer. Alvin Harper was great beside Michael Irvin.
Yes.
Bust when Tampa signed him to be the number 1 guy.
That's right.
Was Queen so good because of he lined up next to?
Rohan, yeah.
Yes. Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
Yes. So we got that straightened out. Teresa
Yeah,
Mariano is
Roquan
watching.
Smith as good as he was with Patrick Queen next to him.
Not
the answer
yet.
to that question
Not
is no.
yet. And I watch that too. Pete Kasich's watching. I've told people for years that it's tough to watch Steeler games, and I was so right this time. I almost turned it off, but then I always believe in sports. I don't know if you guys notice this, you girls notice it. I'd rather be on a lucky team, because when a team wins and they're lucky, they never lose.
Yeah.
So when the luck runs out, I saw the opening drive, and I'm so disgruntled with Pirates. And by the way, thanks to Skeens for his great year, 11 wins. Would we have won 11 more games without him? No. So we might have been between 65 and 70 games. Wow. So I thank him for our good season, and I thank them for picking him and letting him pitch and then limiting them to 2 innings, because now I know he can do 40 games next year.
Yes, sir.
He's stronger.
He's not going to make
I'm kidding, Chip.
32 max.
Chip, I'm kidding. I knew you'd correct you. I got you on that one. But I'm hopeful for the Buccos. They showed some life, and they showed they needed to get rid of some people. And I honestly believe Shelton can't take us to the next level. And he was given so many bad players that they brought some good ones up. And I believe this, Chip, that we have some talent on the team.
There's no doubt.
To do better. Because here's what I like. In hockey, they talk about gritty teams. And guess what? The Pirates are a gritty team.
Under 500.
Except for Kiner's grandson, 4 more at-bats, and he would have got $200,000.
I mean, they need to make some additions. There's absolutely no question. And I don't think the additions that they need to make are on the minor league roster right now.
I wanted your opinion on
that. The people that I don't see coming back, I don't see Connor Joe coming back.
Right. He's a part-time
we
player.
know that Rowdy Tellez and Michael A. Taylor are not going to be back.
But there's young guys reps over the last 6 games, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what type of free agents they bring in. They need some help in the outfield. I think left field and center field, I think they're solid. I think O'Neal Cruz will flourish as a center fielder next year.
Hopefully.
Time will tell. They've got a lot of pieces in the infield. I don't know if Jared Triolo is going to end up making the roster next year unless it is as a platoon at first base. But they're still going to need a left-handed bat at first base. There's no question. And the big question mark is Key Brian Hayes. What Key Brian Hayes
Send him to a chiropractor.
Well,
his back's messed up.
They've got a plan with him. They're working on strengthening his back. I mean, even with this back problems he had, he's still a Gold Glove caliber fielder. What he needs to do is he needs to be more productive at your corner positions. They need to be more productive. First and third base, the production we got out of him this year was just atrocious.
Didn't Hayes make like over 20 errors this year? Oh, no, that was Cruz. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We don't want to combine.
Hayes still made a lot of errors. He didn't play very well. I think it would also attribute those to his back problems.
Probably because of his back problem.
Yes.
Chip, I'll give you a little story. In high school, I'm playing football, and guys go, you got to go to the chiropractor in Castle Shannon. Guys are getting different injuries, legs, back. And I forget his name now. He was right. right off Castle Shannon Boulevard. His office was right down there. Everybody was going there. And in high school, a chiropractor helped people. And I found out later on I had some issues and a chiropractor helped. So I'm not being facetious like Smoking Jim. Why don't they pursue that since they're talking about strengthening? Because you know yourself, people have had success at chiropractic.
Alan,
Look what happened to you.
Bring up a good point. But I know that there are people that are much more educated in dealing with back injuries than I do.
Yeah.
So you know what? I would defer to them.
Well, no, my question is rhetorical. Why aren't they? Or if they have, why didn't they report on it?
Yeah, well, we don't know if they have or if they haven't.
No, but it's an open question.
It's no problem being the sub 500 team. That's gritty.
Who are we talking about?
I know, Gateway.
Right.
They're 2 and 3, right?
All right. Peggy Rohde's watching us. Hello to all watching this exciting show with Nick up in Rochester, New York. We salute you guys. Thank you. I didn't finish about the Steelers. And we've talked about offensive line, defensive line. Never saw Najee getting blamed for being a terrible running back. Now, I watched the first series. He got handed the ball, and there weren't 2 guys, there weren't 3 guys, but there were 4 guys on him. I had to tell a friend of mine, she watches football, but she goes, Najee's a bust. I go, he's only gained 3,000 yards in 3 years, and it's rare to do that.
Yes, sir.
And do you notice that the defensive line is back where he is? And she goes, yes. I go, do you know Najee doesn't call the plays? He's not just running free. They tell him where to run, and then after I talk to her, they hand him the ball, and he goes straight up the middle into our linemen and 4 defensive linemen on the other side. So he got stopped. Now that happened a few times. What did he average? 1.3 yards? Look at why. And then I've been saying, why don't you throw him the ball? Did you see the nice pass and run he had?
Yes, sir.
Then I tell people he was great at Alabama going north to south. Why was he running out to the right and out to the left when there's nobody really blocking for him? And Dan Moore was on the line. They were doing a sweep.
You mean all-pro Dan Moore?
No, I can't call him that because I don't like to lie. So I saw, here, I'll do the position. Here's the defensive guy, and here's Moore. The defensive guy's going like this, and Moore's standing with nobody to block. Now, you can look at the film, as they say. So when Smoking Jim exaggerates, I just go by the eye test, both of them. And I saw a team that Tomlin is traditional. I don't know if you guys want to argue, but he's the opposite of having a fast starting team. We've watched it almost our whole time. So do the players have to play better? Yes, Chip. Do the coaches have to coach better? Yes, Chip.
You know what, and on that note, I think another one of the big flaws of the Steelers on Sunday was the play of the secondary. They were just atrocious. They couldn't cover anybody.
Yes.
And they had a statue standing back there behind the Indianapolis Colts offensive line. They had a statue back there. They couldn't get to the quarterback, and the guy just picked them apart. I mean, Joe Flacco, I was telling Jim on the way in here, you could judge his 40-yard dash time with a sundial.
Yeah, well, he's 39 years old, but he got a strong
I don't
arm.
care if he was 19 years old, he couldn't run.
No, but the point is, we don't work for a billionaire's team. Don't anybody know that? They don't. And all you had to do is just have somebody hit him, but our defensive line still needs help. They were bragging about Cam Hayward doing so well. Well, he's getting blocked by 2 guys. So what did he do but fight off 2 guys?
And, you know, I heard somebody say that shows you how much Highsmith, is that him?
Yeah, he was missed.
That how much of a difference it makes with him not playing on that side, opposite Watt. Because Watt, and then, of course, Watt was getting tackled on every play. Just like, you know, and that's the reason why, once again, I say robo-refs, I'm a big advocate for it for the NFL.
Yeah, well, with me, I'm a traditional referee guy with my dad in basketball. He umpired. He didn't do football. But, I appreciate the referees and what they do, the good ones, the ones that aren't homers, the ones that go by the rules and the laws and aren't getting paid off or whatever.
That's what I was going to say, the best paid refs on the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if we're talking about conspiracies, though, I genuinely believe Watt is so good at rushing that the officials will let that go, and the league likes those holding penalties to be let go because he would sack the quarterback on every play.
I second that emotion on that.
And the Steelers have already won too much, apparently. So.
He'd
well,
put
look
more,
at why we can't get more Hall of
Famers. He'd put more quarterbacks in the hospital.
Even Angel,
Yeah, because the league's protecting Joe Flacco. Yes.
even Angel Hernandez thought the refs did a bad job.
Well, who was he to say that?
He only knows. You only know that guy by name.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember when Nick and Chip talked about that guy once. Oh, he must be bad.
All right, we better move on. We're going to go. We need more entertainment from Smoking Jim talking about baseball, which he doesn't know.
That's true.
What are we going to do? Fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. What will he say next?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I tell you what, man, I played a lot of tailback in my life. And honest to goodness, Al Levine, the talking machine, I'm an honest man. There were some systems that I ran out of, Nick, that I could not be stopped. I could not be stopped. And there were some systems that I couldn't find the hole. I don't mean for a game or two. I mean the whole season. And I think that's what Najee Harris is going through right now. They got that zone block, and Patterson ran out of that system for a number of years, so he's comfortable.
With Smith.
So I believe Najee, as the season goes, will get it. Al Levine, the talking machine, just to talk about a couple busts. The Marvin Leal. This guy was drafted to play defensive end out of Texas A&M, Al Levine, the talking machine. I told you guys on draft day he'd be a bust.
Yes, you
now
did.
They moved him to outside linebacker. He was a bust at defensive end. Now he looks like a fish out of water. Another third-round bust, Al Levine, the talking machine. Nothing against your Keanu Benton, Wisconsin, who I believe only got drafted because he got white friends by the name of Herbix. He called themselves brothers. I think that's the only reason they drafted him. They drafted him to play defensive end. He couldn't do that. He's not a nose guard. The rookie center blew him out, turned him every which way but loose. Al Levine, the talking machine, you have to be a nose guard. And nothing against him because he's not a nose guard and he's not a defensive end and he shouldn't be on the team. But you need a Casey Hampton, Arrowhead Holmes type that's going to demand a double and triple team at nose guard. Al Levine, the talking machine. So he's a bust from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Al Levine, the talking machine and guns, called Isaiah Loudermilk, says that he should be on the milk carton somewhere. So Al Levine, the talking machine, I said it before. The Pittsburgh Steelers continue to draft these defensive ends that don't turn out any good. I think the defensive line coach is not any good. He only keeps his job because he's Tomlin's friend and he got bad skin. And that's fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Well,
I don't know how to disclaim all of that, but his opinions are his own opinions. They don't represent BPTV, Bethel Park, or our Pittsburgh Sportsline show. But thank you, Smoking Jim. Very entertaining. 10 seconds for Chip's trivia time.
Okay, so, I'm going to touch on something that is one of the most amazing events that I've ever personally witnessed. But before I do that, yesterday was a great day in Major League Baseball. An interesting set of circumstances developed. There was 2 games played between the Mets and the Atlanta Braves. Because of the way the season fell, they had to play games 161 and 162 because of a rainout. So the way it worked out was, as the day we woke up yesterday morning, the Arizona Diamondbacks were in the playoffs, and the Mets and the Braves, one of those 2 teams was going to go. Now, if the Mets would have swept the doubleheader yesterday it would have been the Mets and the Diamondbacks in the playoffs. And if the Braves would have swept the doubleheader, it would have been the Braves and the Diamondbacks in the playoffs.
Follow this, Smoking. And
if the doubleheader was split,
guess what happened?
the Braves and the Mets went, and the Arizona Diamondbacks were out. Wow. So the first game was a really exciting game. The Braves went into the ninth inning with a one-run lead, and they sent their closer in. And Francisco Lindor hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth for the Mets to win 8-7. Great. Mets won the first game. The Braves won the second game 3-0. The Arizona Diamondbacks.
Then what happened?
The Arizona Diamondbacks are out. So now the Braves are going to be playing on the West Coast against San Francisco tonight. Just to give you an update on the games that were played today, Detroit Tigers beat the Houston Astros 3-1 in game number 1, which was played today. The Kansas City Royals beat the Baltimore Orioles 1-0. And right now the Mets are up 8-4 over the Milwaukee Brewers in the middle of the 7th.
Wow.
So game 4 today will be played at 8:30, Atlanta and San Diego. I feel that will be much more must-watch TV than anything else that's going to be on tonight. So just wanted to touch on the baseball playoffs. The wild cards are in effect. It's the best out of 3 series.
What did the Pirates play today?
Well,
golf. They were playing golf.
Interestingly enough,
golf.
That takes me back to 11 years ago today. 11 years ago today was the most amazing sporting event that I've ever witnessed in Pittsburgh.
Whoa.
That was the Johnny Cueto game, Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. And, just to give you a quick rundown, my wife and I went down early because she doesn't like dealing with crowds. But as soon as we got off the tee, we parked over at the paint can, and we took the tee over to the North Shore.
Oh, nice.
And as soon as you got off the tee, you could feel an energy and an electricity. And as we came up out of the subway and walked towards the stadium, down onto Federal Street, it was insane. It was a blackout night. Everybody was wearing black pirate gear, and the enthusiasm and energy was nothing like I've ever seen. Now, I've seen AFC Championship games here in Pittsburgh. You remember the Houston Oilers played the Steelers in the 70s. Mm-hmm. I saw those games, I've seen a World Series game, the 1979 World Series. This was nothing like it. It was 20 years of losing and the pent-up energy and frustration that were in Pirates fans. And when we got into that game, I was sitting up in section 316, which was right behind home plate. And on every single pitch, the guys sitting in front of me would high-five everybody in my row, starting at this end and all the way down.
That's energy.
And had to do it in the same. There wasn't anybody at the concession stands. The seats were packed.
Wow.
I mean, the only time anybody got up in between innings, run to the bathroom real quick. But the energy was just like nothing I've ever seen before. 20 years of losing. And that year I had a little extra money, so I bought the season the playoff package, which the playoff package included tickets to the wild card game, tickets to the first round, to the ALDS, the NLDS, the NLCS, and tickets to the World Series.
Wow!
We went to the National League Division Series, and we lost in 5 games to the St. Louis Cardinals. But I was at games 3 and 4. And, I mean, the energy that year was like nothing I have ever seen, which absolutely cemented in my mind that regardless of the laughing stock that people make of the Pittsburgh Pirates, Pittsburgh always has been and always will be a baseball town.
One question. Did you see Smoking Jim there?
Of course not.
Thank you. Carry on.
Of course
well
not.
Said, Chip.
No,
we appreciate
but
it.
I mean, the energy there was just like nothing I've ever witnessed before. And when
I heard that from many others.
And when Russell Martin hit that home run after Cueto dropped that ball, I swear the stadium exploded. We were jumping up and down. It was a great day to be a Pirates fan.
Cueto didn't play for the Pirates?
Again, he doesn't know baseball. Thank you, Chip. We're going to move on to Nick VIP Callis time.
About Pete Rose just for a second, because I think a lot of interesting points were brought up, and it was only 20 minutes ago, and I only remember that a D was at the end of that rule in the book, not
21D.
21D.
Rule 21, paragraph D.
Now you know.
See, this is the thing. So, I've always been somebody who's advocated for Pete Rose being put in posthumously to the Hall of Fame because there's still a legacy, I think, that exists in who he was as a player that would make him somebody that you'd want to remember if you were a baseball historian or a baseball fan, right? Because he existed as one of the greatest players that I think has ever played based on what I understand. The gambling part, not great, and some of the other things he's done in his retirement, not great.
Or while he was a player.
But we're talking about, well, here's something I didn't realize as well, because I took a lot of phone calls this morning on the show I do at 5 a.m. on The Fan, and there was like 3 people that called in and were talking about how he stood up against discrimination when he was a real young player in his career and was very outspoken. And so some of his arrogant, outwardly attitudes actually also apparently contributed to some good to come out of that, which I didn't know before I woke up this morning. So that when I heard people calling in to share that opinion, I thought a lot of people were going to argue with me and say, "Oh no, he should be banned." I was surprised to hear that part, and I was also, it was reassuring just to hear some validation toward how I feel about him based on what I know. Now again, we all know I'm young. I never watched these guys play. I can only, look at past videos, hear past opinions, and form an opinion of my own based on all of that.
And the stats.
And the stats, which is nobody has more hits in Major League Baseball than Pete Rose does. And for that, you want to remember that guy, right? You want that guy to be in a I guess it's the verbiage, I think, when you think Hall of Fame. Do we want to make this guy, have this fame and have this recognition? I really think the Hall of Fame should be more about just recognizing and remembering the people that shaped or set a standard for, or went above a standard for, a game that you play in. And so that's why, I think people dissect that terminology too much, Hall of Fame, like, oh, we have to glorify these people. You don't even necessarily have to glorify them if you don't want. There's plenty of people in the Hall of Fame that you could argue, did they deserve to be in there, did they not? But if you're leaving your all-time hit king out of the hall to be remembered in the history of the sport, I think you're just doing yourself a disservice if you're talking about, keeping fans engaged with the sport, its history, and where it's going. We also, you joke about the NFL. Ship jokes about the NFL, Spoken jokes about the NFL and the cheating scandals and stuff. And yet the NFL is the most popular sport in America. Yes. And right or wrong, the NFL has mastered the term entertainment. And not that baseball should go to some of the extremes that they do, but there's a villain in a lot of these cases. There's parody in a lot of these games. There's a story about anything at any time as it relates to the National Football League. Yep. And part of the reason is because fans get what they want in the NFL. And at the same time, fans also get the opposite of what they want a lot. There's no middle ground. Baseball plays too much of this. We're justified in our opinion. We're justified. Pete Rose, he broke a rule and he signed a piece of paper, and so never again should he ever be recognized by Major League Baseball because of that, right? You bring up Shoeless Joe Jackson too. Why are we holding a standard and a precedent for that? We can all sit here and I think understand that was a very poor situation that the White Sox were in 1919, and yet, they're still not in. Shoeless Joe Jackson and those guys not recognized for playing in the league because of something that happened so long ago and was such a really
there's some history on that.
We don't have time for that.
One second. Judge Kensaw Landis was hired to stop gambling. Gambling was out of control with owners and bookmakers.
Sure, I get all that. I understand that perspective.
Why.
But I'm saying we look at it now, and I want to remember Shoeless Joe Jackson as a member of one of the best to play as Major League Baseball player. I don't care what precedent was set. We have evolved. Evolution exists in sports. We've evolved. There's no need to hold a precedent that we all recognize isn't right. And I think that's just a problem in certain parts of our society, but also in sports, is that we hold these precedents because there's a rule and there was a thing that happened and this dude was an arrogant guy, and we forget about what that guy may have meant to the game despite what we liked and didn't like about them as a person. So that's all I'm saying, is to recognize him as among the best in the game. Don't just throw these guys out because you didn't like what they did. Now, again, lifetime ban. I'll also use that word to its T. I don't think it's a clown argument. It's a lifetime ban. He's dead. Let's remember him in the hall as people who are still living and want to appreciate the history of the game. Yeah, I think there's just this picking and choosing, too, with the history of baseball that a lot of older fans, I've come to understand, like to do, is they pick and choose what they want to remember and what they want to glorify and what they don't. And that's not how history should be told or shown or remembered.
But the rules are clear.
Excellent job. Excellent job.
Permanently ineligible is not black and white.
Ineligible for what?
Here, I want to make
Permanently
wait
ineligible.
before we
For
don't
what?
have much time.
Okay.
I'm going to waive.
That's the
I'm going to
rule.
waive my segment. I have simple questions for you, Nick, Chip, Smoking Jim, everybody here, even you watching. If you cheat on a test and you get caught, what happens to you? If you work at a business and you have rules to go by and you violate those rules, what happens to you?
Get fired.
Guess what? You're supposed to be accountable. Now, Pete Rose, great hustler. People loved him when they found about his personal life. Whatever, they sort of waived it. Ty Cobb was a racist that fought people in the stands. They made an exception then, because guess why? They didn't care about black people back then. That's our history. There was, different laws and stuff in the South. Black players couldn't go to hotels. So we changed. We did change. But one thing in school, are you allowed to cheat? Did you grow up believing you could cheat on tests?
But I think gambling.
If you didn't get caught.
You're comparing
No, I'm
apples
saying-
to oranges when
No,
you talk
I'm
about cheating
talking
on a test and gambling.
Cheating. I'm talking about cheating.
Okay.
Were you brought up to cheat on anything?
No.
That's how Pete was brought up. So he knew what he was doing. He tried to hide it with gamblers.
If Tony Dorsett
caught it
cheated
all.
in the NFL, did they take his Heisman from college? That's my thing. He did it as a coach, not as a player. He
did
going
it as
in
both.
as a player.
He bet on baseball.
No, there's no
oh,
proof in
please.
that.
He didn't just start betting when he was a manager. Come on.
Yes.
You're ridiculous. No, here's what the thing is. What we're trying to do right now is we're trying to justify making Pete Rose eligible for the based on the rules that exist today. But what you have to do is you have to go back 35 years in time. What were the rules that existed then? Okay, and it was not right then, and now
Chip,
gambling is accepted because it's legal.
It's
Let
not
me
about gambling.
finish.
Look at me.
Let me
We don't have
finish.
time for you to
Let me
finish.
fin-
The guy.
Then why are you talking?
It's half my segment right now.
Yes.
He's dead. That's my point. He doesn't get to live in the glory of being in the Hall of Fame. He's dead.
He
Put him
deserves
in.
that.
You're right. So put him in now because guess what? He's dead. Let us remember him as baseball fans.
Wait, do you remember him? He's not in the Hall of Fame. You remember him? You see him? Do you see highlights?
No, let's-
And you remember a great player, okay? He's not in the Hall of Fame right now. So by putting him in, is that going to make you remember him, or do you remember him as he is?
He's going to be forgotten over time.
I mean, maybe he should.
Hold it, Shoeless Joe isn't.
Well, that's not
and
a.
you can hold people to a standard on what they did on the field. I'm wavering a little bit on Barry Bonds because his head got so big, and now I saw him come to Pittsburgh. My son Drew loved him. His head was normal size.
Well, and he was
I'm
more
actually,
humble. He was more
I'm
humble.
actually thinking like Michael Vick that somebody can get a second chance. So you may have a point. I gave up my on location for this. Stay Joey strong.